Welcome back to another episode of At Home, the show where I get to talk to folks about their passions and how they bring that passion into both their work and their life, and more importantly, how they use that to create a rhythm between those two things so they can live comfortably. You know, I think we've all noticed that in the last year and a half, and I know we're still talking about the pandemic because obviously it's still happening and hasn't gone away. But in the last year and a half, what's been so interesting is that, you know, as much as people, everyone from all walks of life have been challenged by this in different ways, what's so interesting about it is so many people have found their ways to work through it. And you don't get around something like COVID-19. Like it doesn't just go away and it doesn't stop impacting your life. But you start to get used to it, and you start to get used to how to do these little things every day for yourself, your mental health, your physical health, your work life, balance, creating a rhythm between them that work for you. And what I really want to do on this show is bring folks on who can talk to you about what they do and how that works for them. And so hopefully you can learn something for it. So I am beyond excited to do today's show. My guest today, Girard, is joining us from the community at large. We follow each other on social. We've talked numerous times about technology and other things through other channels that I happen to be a part of or that we're both a part of. And I'm just jazzed to have him on the show. So, Girard, thank you so much for being here, man.
What's going on, brother? It's an honor. Listen, I'm a big fan. I've been listening to the show since the first episode, so I'm like beyond stoked to be here. Seriously. Before we even do anything, I do have to say, without question, I want to take this moment and thank my wife because, look, at the end of the day, I couldn't do an inkling of what I do without her. Be that make content, have a career, consult, like anything. And I mean, she holds it down for our family. So I definitely want to take that time and this opportunity to thank her for that, without question.
That's awesome, dude. I'm so glad that you did that. I think it's a testament to not just your relationship with your wife, your partner, and your family. Also, I think it's a really good reinforcement for everyone watching this that whether, you espouse to labels like your wife, your husband, or your partner, or however you see your relationships, whether it's a romantic or it's personal for friends, there's always someone or some buddies who support you on a regular basis and are part of your life, and then you hopefully support them, that make doing things like this possible, whether it's just living or working or being able to record videos. So I'm so glad you said that. I will say thank you to my wife because she's amazing too. So that's
all right.
Awesome. So Girard, since you're here for the first time, I'd love it if you take a minute and just introduce yourself. What do you do? Where do you come from? What are your hobbies? Whatever you want to say.
Sure, absolutely. So for those that know me, and for those who don't, my name is Girard Kavelines. I'm an IT professional. Actually, my 15th year was just a week ago. Yay. I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm also the founder of Tech House 570, which is my blog. It's a brand within the community that I created and I maintain. And it was designed to help other IT professionals around the world have an outlet that I didn't have when I got into the industry. So be it through my content, how-tos, it's a way for people, whether you're a seasoned individual or someone just looking to get into the industry, and you're not sure where to go, or I'm someone who loves to share his insight and all my years of experience and how to really get you to where you're looking to go in your career. When I'm not doing that, I'm working full-time for a huge healthcare organization as an IT specialist. So you name it, I do it, whether it's maintaining the infrastructure, racking, stacking the gear, helping you with the printer. I'm jack of all trades, master of nothing. So I do everything. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a father to 5 beautiful children with my amazing wife who keep me busy every second of every day. So there's never a dull moment in my life. Sleep. I got rid of sleep like at least 7-8 years ago. So
I can't imagine how you would not be busy on a daily basis, which, I think is like a perfect segue into the conversation we're going to have today, which is, something I espouse to. I learned this concept from, I don't know if it was actually from Adam Grant or if he just brought this up in a podcast I listened to, but kind of getting away from that term, work-life balance. I don't like that term because I've realized, and you probably are somebody who can talk to this better than most, is there is no such thing as a balance between your work and your life. It doesn't exist because I think what comes to most people's minds when you think of the word balance is like the scales of Themis. Lady Justice standing there holding 2 scales, and somehow you find this magical middle ground between them. Like, that's not real. Like, there is never like, I am just at balance with everything. Like, that doesn't exist because every day is different, every week is different, every month is different. I think I heard this from Adam Grant a while back, or at least he brought it up on a show, where you can, though, create a rhythm because on any given, if you think of like a sheet of music and you look at all the bars and the different notes that are going, there's high notes, there's low notes, and they go in sort of waves, like, and they're not symmetrical, they're asymmetrical, they go up for a long time, come down, stay down, go up and down a lot. But when you get to the end of the sheet of music, if you listen to it, it makes a harmony, like there's something harmonious about it and you enjoy it. And what I love to think about is like, how do you create, and I think that's probably a good place to start off today, is what are the things that you have found help you in sort of creating that rhythm in your life? Because whether it's your content creation, which is amazing, you create a lot of it, your professional life, and then a big family, how do you create a rhythm for yourself so that you can work to live, not the other way around?
Right. And I'm going to tell you, and believe it or not, I've written about this. I've been asked about this by a ton of people, friends, family, people in the community. I don't have a magic wand, even to this day, I feel like everything, when you give 200%, even with your rhythm, you're still tweaking it. Like I'm still learning as I go, right? Because a normal day for me, starts at 6 o'clock and then I'm going right in the morning, be it work, getting pieces out, scheduled. But as soon as you get home, it's right back to work, and I would have it any other way, but it's a lot, and I got to tell you, with COVID and everything, especially this last year or so, because we had our last two children, Mary Claire, my 2-year old or my 1-year old, and Olivia, she's my 1 month old. We had them during COVID, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and I'm just balancing and maintaining it. But I think some of the best things is to take that step back, and I think a lot of people, some may agree, some not, and that's okay. But for me, I know it's having to take a deep breath and take that step back, because if you don't, you get so lost in everything between practices and games and projects at work, and just like that, you realize it's like it's 12 o'clock at night, and make sure you're spending time with your significant other, even if it's little things, again, flowers, or just let her know you appreciate her, or him or her, because at the end of the day, you don't, if you don't really maintain that or get a hold of it, you lose focus on each other, and that's something that I've strived to do my best to make sure that never happens, and my wife knows she's my top priority.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. It may, on the surface, like you saying this out loud may sound like, well, I don't really have any tips or tricks or a magic wand. I think you actually said something that it really is. It's not a magic bullet, like you said, because there is nothing like that. None of that exists. And what you do is what works for you, and it's something
Yeah.
that you have. Tell me if I'm off base on this, but it's something that you sort of, as a human, have to create organically based on your situation, and you evolve into it over a period of time. Like it doesn't just one day, oh, I'm going to go do this thing, and look, it's going to work, and then I'll try something else. Like no, you try things over time, and what you eventually settle into after time is a set of things that work for you to create a rhythm. And I like what you called out, and I wrote it down, that take a step back for perspective to gain a little, and that it sounds like a big sort of existential idea, but to your point, like taking a breath for a minute and walking away from whatever you're doing, whether it's content creation or your work or playing with the kids, spending time with your wife, to think for just a second, like get my brain out of this, get some water, listen to a podcast for a minute, and then realize, oh, have I missed something else that's around me that I was so funneled on the thing that I was doing that I couldn't see this other thing, whatever it happens to be. I think that's powerful. That's a really important tool to use that a lot of us probably could spend more time with. And you tell me, but in my experience, those situations, we tend to espouse them as like this idea that, well, I got to set some time aside for like the deep thinking to do what I'm saying. Yes, or yes, and you could just go take a walk, or grab a glass of water and sit in the front room of your house and look out the front window for a couple of minutes. Just something that takes your mind out of whatever you were in before to something different for just a minute or two, to almost gain that perspective. I don't know.
Yeah.
What sort of things, like activities like that, whatever they are, seem to kind of work for you?
So what's worked for me, and believe it or not, at one point things got overwhelming. I'd say about a year, almost a year and a half ago, and I'm very fortunate. And they say the term "the rest is history." That's how my blog and on all of these other opportunities and everything came to be, was because I needed an outlet to really just decompress and escape with the kids. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, what are my two loves? And it was technology, and I love writing, because I've always thought I was okay at it. I never thought I was that great, but I'm here thinking to myself, and I found so many great content creators out there. AJ Murray, for example, at No Blinky Blinky, that right there was what really hit me, and I go, holy, like this guy's got a family, he's got kids, he's a great IT professional, and I said, wow, like this is like he's telling his story and sharing his journey, and I knew right there. I was like, well, that's a way I can. So I started doing that, and it's just more and more I saw that not only did I love it, obviously, making content, but it was just relieving so much stress off my shoulders. My wife likes to go get her nails done, so it's a matter too of that partnership. It's like wrestling. You got to hit that tag because when she needs a break and she needs to check out, and that's fine. I got the kids, 5 kids. I don't care. Whatever you need, you go relax, you decompress, you do you. And same with me. And she's home with them all day. So I try to take all that into account because it's a lot for one person. And then with, like I said, with COVID, then the learning model switched. So they went from, because my son, has an IEP in school and he has extra help, and now we don't have that. All that's taken away. So that's now more added, stress on her shoulders, and we're just all trying to navigate through that. So it's been a tough year, but we're bouncing back. We make sure we, again, focus on each other, recenter yourself, because it's very easy to get lost, and then that's what happens. You start snapping at each other, things wouldn't happen, even for the most little infinite things. So it's making sure it's just taking that step back.
I think I love everything you just brought up about like intentionality, being very intentional about that step back, about
Being
because
aware of your surroundings too,
yeah,
because a lot of people, you'll lose sight of it. A
yes,
guy I used to work with always would joke with me, but he said it best. He's like, be aware of your surroundings. And like, you listen to it, but like, then you sit back, and now I'm looking at it 3 years later, like, yeah, be aware of your surroundings. I only had 3 kids then, not 5. It's different.
I can imagine. I have one, and I can empathize with just the one, and I'm good.
I need to be aware of my surroundings, or
Yes.
someone's going to be wearing dinner, or my son Benjamin's going to have marker on his face. I don't have a choice.
You're like, oh god, there's Sharpie. Like you see a Sharpie cap on the counter, you're like, everybody freeze! Something bad is about to happen.
He did the other night. He looked like a Smurf. He came right in
Oh
and
my
just,
god, that's
here you
awesome.
go.
You're like, okay, cool, fantastic.
I don't question it.
Yeah, the way that I've heard, the way that I've like always heard what you just said, but I think it's the exact same thing. Is kind of learn how to read the room, and
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting parts of like putting all this stuff together that you've just been talking about is, you want to gain some perspective, and that's just changing your mindset for a moment. Get out of whatever fixed mindset you're in that moment to something that's kind of growth, like that. Just reopen your mind to something. Well, what's a way to do that? Give yourself space intentionally to be out of that moment for a moment or two, whether it's spending time with the kids, creating content, whatever your jam is, or several things, like take a walk, play with the kids, do something with the family, create some content, take a nap, whatever, like whatever the things are that help you get out of your whatever you were focused on, so that you can allow yourself to read the room and actually really see what is happening, like not just view it, but really see, kind of like active listening, but active viewing, like really see what is happening around you, so that you can make a decision about, okay, what am I going to go do next, and was I over focused on this thing that I was in before, and should I really put some energy on this other thing? And I think that intentionality is super important, and making time for it. Like, if you need to, as a human, this is something I have to do. I find that if I just tell myself, well, I'll give myself some space today to step away and go be distracted for a little bit, it will not happen. I have to like create a task and put it on my calendar, so I get a reminder. Like, the way that my mind works and my sort of stress levels work, if I don't do that, it is not going to happen. I know plenty of people, like my wife, that's overdoing it for them. They can just, I put it on a sticky note and it'll get done and no problem. So I think for anyone watching, the lesson here, at least the lessons I'm hearing from you, Girard, and you tell me if this is accurate, is you want to gain perspective, kind of read the room. And perspective not being like the big capital P perspective. It's just, no, it's like gains, just read the room. Like, be able to take a step out of whatever you're doing and read the room a little bit. And the way to get there is to be intentional about it. And when you're intentional about it, then you can do that. And then also kind of bolt onto the side, like, buying something from a marketplace. You add on a little bit from the side, a little accessory of what's something extra that you can also go do that can let you do that. That isn't just take a walk. Like, there's 100 things you can do. What are those things that you like to do? In your case, content creation is one of them. What, for anyone watching, what's your jam? What do you like doing that could get you out of your mindset for a couple of minutes? Does that kind of sum up what you were saying?
That sums it up perfectly. And one thing too to remember, or at least that I always wanted to see, if there's 2 things that you could ever take away, right? Like, if there's 2 tools, or there's 2 things to really keep in your arsenal, have a good mindset. That's number one in my opinion. Again, what works for me may not work for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. To all their own, right? But having a good mindset, a clear, focused mindset, is always going to help you, and that's personally, professionally, or in life. And the other thing is that is structure, because as you said, Jeff, and you correct me if I'm wrong. One kid, it's a lot. One kid can be a lot. We had two in the very beginning, and my oldest are 7 and 8 now. So you needed structure, and it's imperative, especially having kids. I mean, in life, you need it, to make sure you're organized, focused, and on track. But with kids, you definitely need structure. When you have 5, structure is like it's life. You need
Yes.
you need it, and look, I
can
say
imagine.
this because you need to have structure. Like like I can look at my phone and go, okay, I have put everything on my calendars. I'm very OCD. I'm like everything has to have a date, a time, just because I know like I'll remember. But with everything now going on in life, no, I can very easily like that. I'd be like, oh man, did you get this? No, I left it at work. My wife uses a physical calendar. She's old school, so if you don't write it on that calendar, she's not going to see it. That's just how it is,
The tools that something I love saying is that the tools that we use to accomplish these things are super important, because you need a tool to implement that process that you have, even if it's a simple process. The tools also don't really matter, because whatever your tool du jour is fine. And if you need to change it up at some point, that's okay too. Just remember that it's what you're trying to accomplish with the tool is what's important. The tool itself is the thing that enables you to get there. Well, listen,
Right.
This has been fantastic, and I'm glad we were able to recap that a little bit. Hopefully this was helpful for the audience.
Yes.
For anybody out there who's watching who wants to follow more of what you're doing, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me all on the interwebs at G Kavelines. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. Like I said, if you look up Tech House 570, I have all of my content. I have an awesome merch store. Shameless plug. But no, seriously, I'm all over the interwebs. Like I said, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tech House 570. Definitely check it out. It's got a ton of insight, not just from the technological aspect, but personally, and how to balance all that. But especially for those young and up and comers coming into IT, or if you're looking for a new outlet, I'm always here to help. I'm always around. I'm always here to talk to you too.
Awesome. Girard, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you follow him everywhere. I'll put all his information down below in the description. Girard, again, thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. I hope we get to do this again soon, man.
Absolutely. And everyone, thank you so much for being here and watching another episode of At Home. Again, you can find us. I try to publish these about once a week. If you like the videos, big thumbs up. It really does help get it boosted up in the algorithm. If you have a comment, a question, any feedback, follow-up, anything, just put it in the comments down below and then hit that big red subscribe button. It's super awesome for the channel. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you all soon.